One of the most common things that I keep hearing when talking to guitarists is that they don't know what to work on to get better improvising. Now, I'm talking mainly about guitarists that love blues and rock, that don't have any aspirations to become rock stars. They play at home mainly for their own pleasure, but maybe they also want to be able to jam, maybe play a gig here and there, but mainly play for your own enjoyment. So I decided to put this series of videos together for anyone that has a similar goal like this and might feel stuck on their development, because what usually happens is after you're a beginner and you learn how to do the basic things, there comes a time where you stop making progress and it just feels like it's an uphill battle, almost like if you couldn't get better anymore. Well, I'm here to inspire you and show you some new ways on how you actually can make progress indefinitely with the right exercises and the right training. But why should you even listen to me? Hey, my name is Ulrich Ellison. I'm a professional guitarist. I've been performing for over 25 years across the world on 3 continents. I've played thousands of shows in different constellations, and I'm also the founder of Total Guitar Transformation, where I guide guitarists just like you to become the best version of themselves and start improvising with freedom and confidence. So let's get started. If you want to build a house, you cannot start with the window sills. You need to start with your foundations. That's the same way we need to start building your guitar playing, by strengthening your foundations and doing the maybe seemingly tedious and boring things that will help you to put things into muscle memory, so you free up parts of your brain that can actually focus on the creative part of playing guitar. So what am I really talking about? I think I'm talking about mainly developing your rhythm and your time, developing your sense of pitch, and here I'm mainly thinking of bending strings and really hitting those pitches. And then also developing your sense of harmony. And what I mean by that is playing chords all over the fretboard, knowing chord shapes, also knowing triads. So a big part of that is also orientation, fretboard knowledge. So I'm just going to show you a bunch of exercises that have helped hundreds of our students inside of TGT Academy to build up their playing. So basically you get a little peek inside of what I'm doing with my students. Now keep in mind that a huge part of what we're doing here is the feedback part, because everyone is going to do these exercises differently. So try to stay as close as you can to my instructions. You're only going to get the real benefit if you have someone to look at your playing. But we're going to talk about this later. For now, let's get started with timing. Let's get you started with the subdivisions of the rhythmical pyramid. So if I have only time to show you one exercise working on your rhythm, then I would go over the rhythmical pyramid with you. The rhythmical pyramid is basically all the main subdivisions related to each other. We want to be able to play through all these subdivisions, even just on one note. That's our start. So here I'm just going to pick a C note on the G string, and I'm going to play through the whole rhythmical pyramid. That sounds something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whole notes. Half notes. Half note triplets. quarter notes. And switching to quarter triplets. Keep them nice and even. Eighth notes. Eighth note triplets. Next up, 16th notes. Already start preparing. Came out a little too fast. 16ths. Triplets. That's it. Yes, so knowing these subdivisions is crucial. There's a few things to consider here. It is very important to divide the bar evenly with those notes. So it helps to visualize it for yourself that, you know, a whole note is one note per bar. A half note is 2 notes per bar. The half note triplets are 3 notes per bar, and so on and so forth. So picture that in front of your mind, and this will really help you. The other thing is that we want to be able to switch the subdivision immediately. You don't want it to take like a whole bar until you finally lock in with the new subdivision. You want to be able to switch it immediately, especially switching from like a binary subdivision like eighth notes to eighth note triplets. There's going to be a big shift. It almost feels like we're playing in a different time, right? So you want to really be able to lock that in. One way to do this is to clap first. So you don't even need a guitar because it's really about visualizing in your head first. So if I'm doing, those are quarter notes. And then if I go to eighth notes twice as fast, I go like this, and then I go to eighth note triplets. Those are the skills you want to develop. Now, if you're watching this and you're trying to clap along with me and you're struggling with this and you can't really do it reliably, then that's a great thing, because that's a revelation that there are some rhythmical foundations missing in your musicianship that you haven't worked on. It doesn't mean that you're not talented or you're not a natural. Forget about that. It just means that no one ever told you to work on this. And today can be the day to change your musical life and start working on these things. If you want a step-by-step instruction on how to do this, then go in the description below and fill out an application for our TGT Academy, because that's exactly what I will teach you as a member of TGT. All right, cool. So the next foundation I want to check on is if you're able to lock in with a metronome or drum groove with a 16-note pattern with some shifting accents in it. I'm just going to take a very typical figure. You know, some people call this the Bo Diddley beat. That's basically the figure that I'm going to play here. And I'm just going to pick a random chord here, like an E7 chord. And let me just use a drum groove so you can really hear what's going on here. So we got drum groove here at 90 beats per minute. Check yourself. Can you do that? And can you talk? Try to say something while you do it. Last but not least, can you tap your foot while you do all this? Now we can also try this in single notes. If you notice here that you're rushing or dragging, then that's a sign that you should work on your time. Yes, super important to be able to lock in with an external time source and have this continuous 16th note pattern going, where you're just able to play accents wherever you want them. So we're still talking about basics here. This is nothing fancy. This should be the meat and potatoes for anyone that wants to have indestructible skills enough that you can go to the jam session and just have a good time playing. We're not talking about joining Steve Vai on stage and having this fancy technique down, but what I'm talking about is that, if you've been playing for 10 plus years, that you actually have some solid foundations that they're undoubtedly holding up. Does that make sense? It's very important. So the next important foundation here that I want to check in on, like I said, is about pitch. So are you really able to lock in your bendings like nobody's business? Just be totally on. Let's check. We're going to have a root note strone here. We're going to do this in D. And then we're also going to have a metronome going because we want to make sure that it can hold time as well. Here we go. Let's start here with the high E string. Whole step bend. Half step bend. Let's go to the B string. And can you also get good tone? You want this to sound connected and expressive. How expressive are your bands? G string. Notice that the tension is going to be different on all the strings, right? Then we got here also D string. Now we're bending down. A string. Different string tension again. Root note. Squeeze the string. And low E string. Yes. So if you cannot reliably bend those strings and put a nice vibrato on top, then you got a missing foundation right there. Because you want to be able to just put on that drone and play some nice blues phrases with in-tune bends, just like this. So this is not rocket science, but it cannot be neglected. If you're struggling with this, then you should plan a little bit of time on every day's practice session to spend on these bendings. And I really recommend you start using a drone and a metronome doing that. Again, like before, if you notice some deficits here and you just want a step-by-step plan, including feedback and guidance, and make sure that you're doing this 100% correctly, then click on the link below and send an application to learn more about TGT Academy. Awesome. So the next foundation that we need to talk about here is now fretboard orientation and chords. So like I said, you want to be able to find all the notes on the fretboard without having to think about it. Many people make the mistake, they think it's about knowledge, knowing the notes. It's not. It's actually a skill. It's just a skill that when somebody says a note or you see a note in front of you, that your hand already knows where that note is. It's a physical skill. Let's do this. Again, I'm going to put on the drone. Can you play me the F sharps all over the fretboard? Cool. Or how about a B note? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, you want to be able to find all the 12 notes reliably without having to think about it. The added benefit is that when you have the drone going and you're already a little more advanced, you can start thinking about the interval relationship of the notes that you were playing. So for example, here, as I was playing the F sharp, I was thinking that, oh, this sounds like a major third. I'm actually hearing the major third. And then as I was playing the B note, I was hearing the sixth, major sixth, which to me sound like the relative minor. So that's just an added bonus if you're already a little more advanced. Of course, just as important is to know your major and minor triads all over the fretboard. So let's see if we can find those. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice there's always 3 inversions on each string set. And that's it. Those are all the major triads between 0th fret and 12th fret. Minor, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's it. If you can play the major and minor inversions in time all over the fretboard in all 12 keys, then you got an awesome foundation in place that's gonna help you so much in your improvisation and free so much of your headspace. All right, let's move forward. Now there's some nitty-gritty details here in this exercise, like on every exercise, that must not be neglected, but this goes beyond this YouTube tutorial here. This is just to show you what exercises we're doing here inside of our TGT Academy. You definitely want to use the metronome. Yeah, don't just be free floating. You want to commit yourself to having to find that note in time, because that's what you need to do when you play music as well. Awesome. So these were just some of the super crucial foundations in your playing that you need to develop. And we're not even talking about which phrases are we going to play or what kind of vocabulary we have, right? We're just talking about the nuts and bolts that are mainly focusing on the rhythm, the melodic notes, and the chords as well. If you want to build indestructible foundations that are holding up in any playing situations, then I want to invite you to learn more about my TGT Academy, because that's exactly what TGT is about. And if you're interested to join our inner circle, then just fill out an application. You'll get more information about the Academy, and we'll get back to you in 1 to 3 days. Keep on rocking, and don't forget to go to part 2 of this series next, where we're gonna talk about your improvisational toolkit.